I'll ask all of you to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Has anybody heard from Steve? Will he be here?
I have not.
Okay, well, he can join us in progress. I hope he does.
Somebody just pulled one all the way through.
Well, anyway,
I guess.
one of our microphones just disappeared, but we'll survive somehow.
I don't even know how that happened.
Anyway,
What, one of them
Yeah,
fell
what-
through the hole, yeah.
I think we're good though right
But
now.
we've got plenty here, though.
Because I got this one.
Anyway, welcome, everybody, for being here tonight for the meeting of the Select Board. It is Monday, October the 23rd. I've called the meeting to order with the Pledge of Allegiance. And I do remind us that under MGL Chapter 30A, Section 20F, this meeting is being recorded. There will be an executive session tonight, and the next meeting of this Select Board will be 2 weeks from tonight, Monday, November the 6th. I do not have any acknowledgements and recognitions. I was wondering if other Select Board members did. No? Okay. All right. Good. Okay, we will get started now. And the first item on the agenda, or first category, is appointments and resignations. We have only one. I'll read it, 1A. Request to accept the resignation of Brian Pontalillo from the Board of Commissioners of the Town Landing Commission and to post the vacancy. Jim, could you give us a little background on this?
Yeah, so this is an elected position, so the board will meet with the Landing Commission at some point to appoint a member to fill the unexpired term. Normally, the board posts the position for 3 or 4 weeks, see who is interested, and schedule a meeting after that to appoint one of the people that apply.
You know how much time is left on this term, per chance?
I do, it goes to this April. This April they will be.
Oh, okay. It's
Whether or
short.
not the term is long, I'm not sure, but
Yeah.
it gets posted for the next election.
Okay, so,
I move to accept the resignation of Brian Pontalillo and post the vacancy for the Landing Commission.
Second.
motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. That would be 4 in favor, none opposed, and 1 absent. Okay. The next item is a request that this is section 2. It's not written that way, but we know it's section 2. Action items is the next section. The first one, 2A, is a request from Matt Armendo, who is the Director of Public Health, to carry over 26 vacation hours to be used by December 31st, 2023. Is that correct as written? He's going to carry it over, doesn't go to 24? No?
It's last year's. He carried over till the end of September. He wasn't able to use them, so he's requesting 2 more months
Okay.
to use those additional hours.
And what is your view on this? Any issues with that at all?
We're trying to restrict him a little bit, but I'd recommend approval. He's been using his vacation. He's been busy. The department's been busy.
Yeah. So these days would be used by the end of this year,
Yes.
not spilling over into the subsequent year.
That's correct.
Yeah.
So I move we approve the request from the Director of Public Health to carry over the 26 hours.
Second.
Motion made and seconded.
I just want to comment that I know in the past, he's had a lot more, so I think he's gotten a lot better about taking, it's hard to get him to stop working, but I think he has improved quite a bit, so it's actually pretty good.
Or you certainly don't want to criticize him for working too hard, right? He's a good guy. Okay, motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. The motion carries also. 4 in favor, none opposed, and 1 absent. Thank you. The next item is B. Request from the Council on Aging to accept the following donations totaling $276. $136 from Wendy Goldberg, Best Use Yoga Equipment. $40, Kate Jacobs, best use, also yoga equipment. $25 from Lori Clark, equipment loan. $5 anonymous equipment loan. $50 Carol Bonner, transportation. And $10 is the Barbosa family outreach. And the last one is $10 from Janet Malice for technical help.
I move approval.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? There are none. Same 4-0-1 in terms of the outcome. The motion passes.
throwing us off.
Thank you.
Usually I just sit here and I say, yep.
Okay, the third item is a request from the planning board for comments and recommendations for Corey Ridge Estates, 265 Cornell Road, AP 81, Lot 4, Westport. Jim, maybe a little background on that?
So this is a 4-lot subdivision. They're looking at the gravel road off Cornell Road, 265 Cornell Road. As you go Cornell Road from Main Road, this is probably down about a third of the way on your right, just before that little pond area. The board doesn't normally comment on these. It's a relatively small subdivision. I don't have any comments.
Do any of the select board members have comments on this?
No.
Nor do I. Okay,
Do you want to check with the audience?
I will get, I don't know if anybody from the public wishes to comment on this item? Okay. Mayor, you're on the planning board, any comments to add?
Like Jimmy said, it's, you know, it'll be going before us, and, I mean, any comments we take under advice was.
Yeah, okay, thank you. All right, so we don't have to vote on this, good evening, Steve. Good, good. We missed you.
Chickens got loose.
Oh,
I think they like me in a soup.
okay, so this is, doesn't require a vote if I recall. This is just, we're not going to be making comments. The planning board will do its job, and they do it well, and we thank you for that. Okay, the next item, request from the planning board also for comments and recommendations for Westport Lakes. This is Assessors Map 31, Lots 3B, 3C, and 4G in Westport, prepared for Blue Cat LLC, located at 0 Westport Lakes Road. The applicant is proposing 4 single-family units with 26 duplexes. Jim?
Yeah, this is a senior assisted type living facility. 26 duplexes. This is off of Lake Road, which is off Route 177. Goes from 177 north. The road's been in for, probably 10, 15 years now. The main road there's a couple of houses that have been built on it, but for the most part, it hasn't been developed like it was originally designed. I think at one point they wanted a golf course here in this area, but now they're proposing, like I said, 26 duplexes and 4 single families. It's going through the permitting process with the planning board. I don't have any particular comments. We did meet with a couple of departments just to take a quick look at it today. They will need to file with the Board of Health, and there may be some conservation filings as well, but they're still in the early phases of filing.
Are the duplexes like assisted living or low-income houses or anything there? Chapter 42.
I don't know.
Yeah. And where is this located off of 177? What would that be close to? I don't know that
So if you
road.
go down the end of Old County Road, you take a right,
Yeah.
probably about, I don't know, less than a quarter mile on your left. This road goes straight north.
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie, I had to figure out if there was a lake there.
Yeah,
I couldn't see one, but
I think that land goes all the way to Tupper, doesn't it?
it doesn't look like it.
Somebody said at one point there was a somebody questioned whether or not a right-of-way went all the way through from here. The plan doesn't show any right-of-way that I can see.
Okay, well, this is a request from the planning board for comment and recommendations. We don't need a motion. Does anybody from the public have a comment on this? No? Okay. So what is the pleasure of the committee? We just pass on this and let the planning board do their business.
Yeah, I have no comment.
Okay, so let that be by consensus. Thank you. C is this is 2C2 request to amend House Bill H 3751, an act relative to The Board of Selectmen from the town of Westport. Jim, tell us about this saga, this multi-year saga.
So this bill was filed, again, this past year, or for the first time this past year, to change the name from the Board of Selectmen to the Select Board. It's gone through 2 readings, or maybe 3 readings. And at that point, they reviewed it, and they suggested some amendments. And the amendments would be to allow them to make the changes in the town bylaws as well as the town zoning bylaws, and then to include language that would change selectmen to the select board members, any board of selectmen came up in our regulations. So by including these amendments now, we wouldn't have to amend our zoning bylaws and general bylaws at a later date. So
Yeah.
it's good that they picked up on this, and I'd recommend approving of the amendments.
I remind people this was something voted at town meeting several years ago, if I recall. And it's long in coming, but these things can happen and they can take long. Yeah, I don't think it was controversial, was it, these changes?
No.
Okay, so,
So I move to approve the recommended changes as
motion made.
described.
Do I hear a second? Motion made and seconded. A discussion.
Yeah, this is a pretty non-controversial thing. It's just all the places where you have to change selectmen to select board members. We
Yeah.
didn't get in the first go around
Yeah.
at all, so.
Well, also those who have old political signs may have to repaint them or something.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, any comments from the public on this, perchance? No? Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. The motion carries unanimously. Thank you. F is the request from the Cultural Council to create a separate Westport Cultural Council gift account fund. Okay, Jim, give us the background on this, please.
We have some members of the Cultural Council here? No? So anyway, this was a request. They've received a grant, or will be receiving a grant from a private donor. We just need to set up an account to put those funds in. They need to be separate from our other accounts and dedicated specifically to the purpose of what that grant is for. So I would recommend, and this is based on the recommendation from the Nicole, the town accountant, that the board approve setting up an additional account for the Westport Cultural Council, it'd be a gift account,
Okay?
similar to what's been done with the Council on Aging. We have a number over there.
Yeah. What is the pleasure of the committee?
I'll
Motion
second.
made and
I
seconded.
do have a question.
Discussion.
So we have the authority to do this? We don't need town meeting vote or anything?
According to Nicole, no, we can set it up.
Okay.
And this is something that the treasurer is not empowered to do on her own? It
No.
seems like very cut and dry, you know. That's all right. The rules exist for a reason. Okay, further discussion. Any comments from the public here on this matter? Okay, I assume it's time to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None? I won't hear any, and that passes unanimously forward. Thank you. And the last item under action items is G, the trustees of reservations, as the lessee of the Westport Town Farm, request approval to sublease a portion of the town farm to the Westport Food Pantry. Okay, and Jim, that's in our package? Give us some more background on this item, if you would, please.
So the existing lease with the trustees of reservation does have provisions in there if they want to extend the use, sublease, or use it for different uses. They need approval from the Board of Selectmen to do that. The town is the owner of the property. They granted the original lease, and the board would approve any changes or additional uses. You're not changing the lease, you're just adhering to one of the provisions within the lease.
And what will the Westport Food Pantry be doing with that property?
Yes.
Okay, please come to the mic and identify yourself. We'd be glad to hear from you on this issue. And thank you for being here tonight.
Yeah. My name is Stephen Clayton, and I'm a board member of the Food Pantry. We are also have a very good relationship with a new farm in town, the Neighborhood Farm. They've donated a lot of food to the Food Pantry. And in conversation with them, they suggested I talk to Mike Francis, trustees. And they have a section of property there that has been used as a community farm in the past. And the Westport Food Pantry would like to take over that plot. And what we'd like to do with it is grow food that then we would then bring, food being produce, vegetables, et cetera, that we would bring and distribute through the food pantry on its distribution day, which is Mondays in town. So that's the basic plan. It would be run by volunteers. We have a contract that the trustees and the food pantry have come to terms with an agreement, and I believe that's in the package that explains how we'll be arranging everything. Nothing will be sold. Okay, everything is meant for distribution through the food pantry. It's about a 80,000 square foot plot. As you're entering the town farm, there's a number of stone walls that you walk through on your way towards the river. And if you look up on the left, a little bit in the distance, you won't see anything. Basically, it's just an open plot at this time, but that's the general area that we would be using.
Okay. What were some of the uses of that land in the past? Was that farming?
Historically, it was the town farm, was quote unquote the poor farm.
Yeah.
So that, from what I understand, was ceased in 1956. And I think it was in operation for about 100 years. My last knowledge was the trustees actually was cultivating and using that plot for a community farm. Not real solid on exactly what they're doing, but again, it was being distributed. I don't know if Westport had a food pantry at that time, but the food was grown, and I believe it had a connection with Dartmouth, but I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
I believe that stopped in 2014. And then I guess for a couple of years, on and off, maybe some things happened. Pandemic, of course, so not much has happened in the last 3 years.
Okay, sounds great. Does anybody else wish to speak to the issue?
Excuse me.
Well, Stephen summed it up pretty well, thank you. My name is Mike Francis. I'm the Associate Field Director with the trustees. This is a new role for me. I've been with the trustees almost for 20 years, but I'm pleased to be here on the South Coast, based at Westport Town Farm. I've worked here in the past with some of my former colleagues, and now I'm in this role. And my understanding, I've been here since early summer. My understanding is that Stephen approached the trustees late winter, early spring.
Late winter.
Late winter?
Yeah, late winter, early spring.
And began
Early spring.
to share the idea that he and perhaps others had about growing produce at the farm. It seemed, we're excited about the idea again, about having food grown on the property, again, given the historical context and the more recent production that the trustees had some involvement with. So we strongly support that. We drafted the sublease agreement that's in front of you tonight, and we just ask for your review and hopefully support and approval of that sublease. And I'd be happy to answer any other questions about that, if any.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay, thank you again. Anybody else wish to speak on this?
It's our support team.
Okay, well, welcome aboard. You're doing great work and appreciate it. The committee, what are
I'll move
your
it.
sentiments? Okay.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion?
It sounds like just phenomenal use. Go back to
Yeah.
what the original intent was. I think it sounds great.
Yeah, it's great. Okay, any further comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. The motion carries unanimously. Thank you. We appreciate you being here tonight and good work.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Okay. The next item is, comes under the heading of discussion. There's only one discussion item tonight, but it's very important. It's the Beach Committee update and recommendations. I'll turn it over to Mr. Leach, but Jim, do you have any introductory comments of any kind, or just?
It's a request from Sean, I think, from the beach committee. Other than that, ready to
Okay.
go.
Oh, we know who you are.
Well, Sean Leach, Chair of the Beach Committee. just coming here because there are some recommendations that are required for the selectmen to take action on. But I also wanted to do a report. We are very, very fortunate this year. First, I want to state a great thank you to Chris Gonzalez at the Highway Department and Dana Stewart at the Recreation Committee for getting us over the hump to get us to open this year. As you know, in spring, we had a difficulty finding lifeguards, and with a tremendous amount of effort and with Perry Long, who was a member of the committee, we managed to find enough lifeguards and get this thing kicked off. And the lifeguards we did find, we were very fortunate to find some very good lifeguards, including our head lifeguard, Michael Crotto. So, having said that, we sold, this discrepancy, 4,200 beach passes this year, which is down a couple hundred from previous year. Of those, approximately a third of those are senior beach passes. And we look at the revenue, and I think it's included, I don't know if Jim included it in your packet, the revenue for that.
$112,000.
Yeah, 100. So, but we had budgeted approximately 86. We had budgeted approximately 52 for lifeguards. We had to increase the salaries for lifeguards in order to attract lifeguards, and also incentives. So we're estimating about 62,000, and probably have another $3,000 or $4,000 to kick off next year, because we run obviously a calendar year. We start our season in June at what would be the end of this fiscal year. So we're looking at there'd be $2,000 more. So we're over on that particular line item, and with administrative costs, we're probably doing a break even, or probably a little behind. We'll have to supplement it from the enterprise fund to cover some of those personnel items, but we're recommending in the manner of beach passes, an increase in fees, a significant increase in fees for both the senior and the regular beach passes. We're asking or recommending, it was voted unanimously at our meeting in September, to recommend an increase from $35 to $50 for a beach pass, and from the senior beach passes to be from $15 to $25. That'll probably add, give or take, another $40,000 in revenue, which we will need to kick off and do things we need to do. There are several line items. One is the lifeguards got a whole bunch of equipment last year. We just need a couple items of those. That worked out very well. The facilities. East Beach, we would like to do something. One of the things we'd like to do, as I ran into a gentleman this year on 4th of July weekend, we'd like to have a place for handicapped people to park at the end. I went by there a couple of times on 4th of July weekend. I saw this gentleman in a wheelchair on the other side of the road, because it was the only place he could park and get out of his van, because it was packed on the ocean side of the road. There's no place for him to pull in the van to just get out, and not to go down to the beach necessarily, but just get out of the van and sit there and look at the ocean. So I think it would be easy for us to set up 2 handicap spots down the easterly end of the beach, where it's very stable and very hard packed. And I'm thinking of having Chris Gonzalez do that over the winter this year as part of the thing. Cherry and Webb needs pretty much new gate posts for every gate. They were wooden gate posts installed some 11 years ago. Most of them have rotted or have been run over or hit by cars, whatever, and are broken. So we're asking, that's some of the improvements. Also at Cherry and Webb Beach, the abutters are asking that the fence that runs between the properties, which is the town property, and their private property, be replaced. It's a chain link fence. There's pretty much not many posts left to this chain link fence. It's pretty much the sand is holding it up. There's some hazardous, sharp edges on some of the posts that are there. There's some question as the need of that, but there was some documentation they provided that back in the 60s, in the 70s, that there was an agreement that the fence be kept up to keep the public off their private property, and vice versa. Right now, the access road runs slightly onto their property, and it was part of the agreement that the town would maintain the fence. It was not a formal agreement or anything that was put in writing, but it was just a letter between, at the time, the Conservation Commission and the owners of the property at the time. So we're recommending that, and that has been voted on, that fence be replaced as much as possible. There are 2 options: to go out to bid, or have the highway department buy the materials and have the highway department do it, which would be much cheaper. If we go out to bid, we have to do prevailing wage, and that makes for a very expensive section of fence. Originally, we had a line item of $23,000 that was voted on in 2018. That had been sitting there since through the pandemic. I understand some of that has been used for other things, I'm not sure why, but regardless, we have some monies and we think we should probably go out to bid and see what we get for prices to do at least the first 300 feet, because that's the most hazardous section, the section that goes between the most important part of the two properties. Nubble Beach, I mean, we have a 100-foot strip on Nubble Beach, and there isn't much we can do or can't do there. We have, I shouldn't say we have, the Disabilities Committee has installed mats to park on in the handicap spots down the end. They work very well this year. Unfortunately, most of the time they work very well for people who aren't handicapped, and they were being blocked from what I understood. So we don't have much to do basically with that section. And most of that is land trust land or under the jurisdiction of the land trust or the federal government, which is the Nubble property, which is the final, the end. And I'll get to that in a little bit, some of the issues there. But the Nubble Beach is a 100-foot strip, basically, and there isn't much to do. The private beach owners would like more signage. Some of the people who park down there regularly would like more signage, but I mean, most of the signs disappear. There is plenty of signage down there, it's just that most people aren't paying attention to it. Complaint issues. Well, let's go to finances. Finances, we did very well this year financially. Like I said, we've done very well. We're recommending the beach pass increase to keep that up. I mean, we have a nest egg that we would like to use to improve facilities in the near future. I'm not sure where that's going. The beach committee is going to be going with that, but we'd like to do something at East Beach because it's the only potential expansion or improvement that would be a great benefit to the public. I mean, it seems to be used more and more by the public because of its easy access. Most people don't like to walk up and over Cherry and Webb. If you're somewhat mobilely challenged, you don't want to go over. It's a 1,500-foot walk down to the beach, and most people don't want to do that. And even when you get there, you got to walk back. So we had pretty much a consistent complaint issues that I brought up, and there's 7 listed here. Some of them we don't have jurisdiction on. Some of them the selectmen will have to take action. The first one, no porta-john on East Beach. When we had a porta-john in East Beach, it became a dumping ground for everybody. We had trash piled up against it, and more importantly, the people who go and clean the thing regularly were finding rocks and plastic bags, and they can't suck those up. It ruins their equipment. So they would take them out and dump them on the ground, which turned into a health hazard in itself. So we felt that we basically were going to eliminate that, because between being tipped over on occasion and just becoming a basic magnet for people to pile trash when they were going by at the end of the day, or when they're at East Beach at the end of the day, we left it off. Most people understand that, but most people would like to see some kind of facility, especially people who use that facility. The seaweed on East Cherry and Webb Beach this year, there was a lot of complaints about the seaweed on Cherry and Webb Beach. There was a lot of seaweed for some reason this year. I don't know what the reason was. There was an extra amount of rockweed and what have you. The lifeguards did try to rake it on one particular weekend, but Audubon does not want us touching anything on the beach when the birds are present. That includes the sand at the end of the path. We can't really do anything. It's on our consent order that if the birds are present, we can't rake seaweed, we can't declare that. And most people don't like the fact of that, and it tends to, occur a little hatred towards the birds, but we can't do anything about it. And lifeguards have been instructed not to rake the seaweed, as there were several reports and complaints from Audubon on that. Beach van camping. This is a new phenomenon that's happened in the last couple of years, where people are fixing up vans to go various locations and just pull off and camp. And it's become very popular at East Beach and at the Gooseberry Landing. Because you could go around the corner there at 5 in the morning, there's an awful lot of vans sitting there, basically. And the fact that they're there all night and there's no facilities, and there tends to be issues. Most of the residents, on East Beach don't like it. And some of the people who have trailers are concerned about security of the trailers at 2 o'clock in the morning. I found a couple people parked at Cherry and Webb Beach and locked them in, and they don't mind because it's cheaper than paying $22 at the campground to stay overnight. So they just stay there in the corner of the parking lot, and in the morning when I open them up, they leave. And you can't get a nicer spot on the planet than Cherry and Webb Beach, so.
Low cost too, yeah.
But it's been, but you also wonder, what happens if they leave trash behind? That's one of the
Yeah,
bigger
yeah.
problems. And the second problem is most people who walk there in the evening, who live in the area or just walk down from wherever on the beaches, it's just, they feel uncomfortable with people basically camping there. And this is the same thing with the Nubble. The Nubble, I've been down, when I go down there at night to close, I've seen them, they're pitching tents on the Nubble now and staying overnight, staying a couple of days. And there have been a lot of complaints about people bringing their dogs and what have you, the whole family down there, and people who go down there to walk early in the morning or in the evening, they don't feel very safe. Because there's a lot of things going on. Behavior is real bad at the Nubble, from what I understand. The police, to their credit, they wrote 564 tickets this year. That's down about 300 from the year before, believe it or not. But they're there diligently at the Nubble and East Beach and Cherry and Webb. They're there when they can be. At night, it's hard. There's not many police on the road. And it's not exactly the place you need to be in the evening. And, I'm not faulting them for any choice. And I think most people know that. That's why it happens. East Beach and Gooseberry Landing especially, I've heard things going on all night there that,
What is the cost of a ticket, $50?
$50. And that's something we need to discuss, because my understanding is we can change that. It's $50 in the maximum, from my understanding, for parking on a road. It's not the maximum for parking in a facility. And I think a bylaw and a part of an article to increase that fine to a significant amount, because most people, and I've stood there and watched the cops write tickets to people, and they ask, how much is the ticket? $50. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm gonna,
cheap.
yeah, because it costs you $35 to go to Horse Neck. And you can't go to the movies for $50. So it's a pretty cheap, if it's 4th of July weekend, you've got 3 kids and surfboards in the car, you're not going anywhere. You're gonna go to the beach.
Yeah.
Another problem at the beach, at Cherry and Webb, is the drop off. Horse Neck Beach is not a real hospitable beach anymore like it used to be. It's not like I shouldn't say when I was a kid, because I don't think it's that long ago, but it is. It used to be a very sandy beach, it isn't anymore. So a lot of people now have decided that they're gonna drop the kids and everybody at the entrance to Cherry and Webb, and they go down, one person goes down, parks at Horse Neck and walks down, and they walk out into the beach. Because of the way the Cherry and Webb is probably the best beach down there, by far.
Yeah.
Still sandy. The other things, the security at the Nubble, people are there all night, but they're on the federal property. I don't know what the town can do about it. The beach committee certainly can't do anything about it. And if they're on land trust land, the land trust stepped up and did a lot of cleanup and picking up of trash. We had a lot of complaints of that at the Nubble, but it's more an issue, people are concerned about activities on the Nubble. I'm not sure what can be done with that kind of thing. Closing hours, this is common, I hear it all the time. Why can't we open early? Why can't we close later? Officially, the beach is open 8 to 8, and I think that's convenient. Obviously, in July, when it's light till 9 o'clock, it causes some concern, but it's consistent with the Gooseberry and Horse Neck Beach, that everything closes at 8. I don't know if there's anything we need to do about non-sticker parking. That'll go on forever. Again, 564 people were ticketed this year. The non-sticker parking is always going to happen. This year, there was a lot of Boaters Beach complaint from the Audubon, because that's where they were nesting this year, and there were dogs. And I've been down there, and I've been to the end, and there's a lot of activity down there, all night long, shooting off fireworks, whatever the case may be. I'm not sure who has jurisdiction over that particular section. It's actually the Cherry and Webb Conservation Area, which is supposed to be under the Conservation Commission by deed. I think the selectmen had the purview of all town facilities, what they can do and what they can't do at there. I'll leave it to your discretion. It's not, I don't think it's under, the beach committee's purview to make, but I'm sure some people hear it more than others, myself included, that when I'm on the beach that somebody will come down, and I've heard it more from the Audubon. So, that's basically it. We had a very successful season. We had no injuries, a few assists, no rescues. Things went fairly smooth, considering how it started off in May and June, where we were kind of looking around. we're expecting that we're gonna have to pay more for lifeguards next year, hence another reason to increase
Yeah.
and make up that. And that we're probably gonna have to provide some incentives, as the state does, in order to keep lifeguards. We start off with 12. By the time you get into August and there's scheduling conflicts with college and high school or whatever, we taper off, and we made it through Labor Day, and it's always a problem making it through Labor Day. Because when schools used to start after Labor Day, they start before Labor Day now, and I don't blame the lifeguards who have to go back to school or
Yeah.
whatever they have
Yeah.
to do. But I think all in all, it's a fairly successful thing. It is becoming more and more difficult to find personnel. So, I mean, I don't know how going forward it's gonna be better. We are planning to start a marketing blitz pretty much almost immediately about certifications and things along that line, and putting up flyers even in the high school. Hey, you wanna become a lifeguard.
What is the pay?
What's that?
What is the pay rate?
It's $21 for a lifeguard, and it's $25 for the head lifeguard.
How does that 21 compare with, say, the Horseneck Beach?
Horseneck, I think, is 28. And they provide like a $600 signing bonus to stay, and then if you stay to the full year, they give you another $600. We reimburse as they do for the certification. If you stay here enough weeks, you can get reimbursed for the certification, because it costs $300 to $400 to be certified. That was a big problem during the pandemic, was trying to find certified people. I think that's kind of going away. But I also think there's not a lot of incentive to be a lifeguard anymore. It used to be a coveted job, it isn't so much anymore.
Are you thinking of paying more than the $21 this year?
I'm thinking we're gonna have to be competitive if we're gonna continue to have a full contingent of lifeguards.
Yeah,
The more and more people are using the beach, despite the fact we're down a couple hundred people there. I went down there a couple of times during the day just early on, and that place was packed. And there's always a concern. Like I said, we were very lucky. We had no rescues. We had no, incidents, so to speak. We had one person hit their head on Boaters Beach, but that was, they were, aside from the town beach.
Yeah.
So,
well, those accidents will happen. In terms of the increase, the $50 and the 25 for seniors, is that something you would see having to increase every year, or is this?
Well, the reason we went up, this is a significant increase. I mean, you're going up, basically 60% on the seniors, and you're going up, 30%. We didn't want to do a $5 increase every year for the next 10 years,
Yeah.
essentially. And we were thinking, early on, we were thinking as a way of, beach passes, do biannual beach passes, to take some of the burden off the town clerk. You get your pass for 2 years. So it would be an idea, but they, both Carla and Kristen, have looked into software now to do beach stickers and everything like that. The stickers are very pricey, much more than what we get with the printed ones, but we think that with money it saves in the long run, with the time, the amount of time it takes the town clerk to process those applications is ridiculous.
Do you think there'll be stickers now instead of those tags?
Yeah, you'll be able to apply online, pay for it online. Basically, it's a service, my understanding it's a service, an off-site service that, you send the information. If there's a problem with a certain application, or if there's a question on a certain application, kick back to the town clerk, who will probably kick it back to the beach committee, or whoever is in charge, to make a determination. Because one of the bigger problems is like trusts. You have the X family trust or whatever, it's like, and 5 people are applying it, none of them have that name. So it's like, who's paying the taxes on that property? Are they really paying the taxes on that property, or is it just, let's get every member in the United States who's a member of this family? And
So with the trust, there's no maximum limit of 2 per?
there's four per trust,
Okay.
is what we had. And that's all well and good until the 5th person comes in. What happens is, there might be 6 people on a trust document. The last people, in the same family who don't come in time lose.
No, what's that?
Yeah, no, it's a problem, because I understand that. I think those are the tricky ones. I mean, we have other ones that are tricky, people who have marginal properties, and properties they're paying $10, $12 in taxes. They're worth a couple $1,000 maybe. That kind of thing. We have the issue where you have business owners who are taxpayers. but not residents.
Mm.
And they would like to get beach passes for their family members and things like that. Those are the ones with the problems that'll probably kick back. The rest of them, 4,000 of the 4,300 passes will probably be fine.
Yeah.
There shouldn't be a problem. And if it works, that they're hoping to implement it prior to the start of this season. And I'm not sure how that's all gonna work. I think Jim's been working more closely with that, and he probably has more comment. If it works, it'd be great, because it'd be much faster. It'll be easier for people, to do things online. There will be a learning curve, I'm sure, just like there was a learning curve with this one,
Sure.
but.
Okay, well, that's a good report. We appreciate all that you do and your committees. Paul, I guess you're on that committee too, right? Can we commend you? Yeah, discussion, comments, questions?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Sean, on the parking and the ticketing, could we make a tow zone?
Most of the committee members, although I don't think there's an official vote that been taken, are all in favor of spot towing. In other words, certain days, certain times, because if they see a tow truck sitting there, just as they see a police car sitting there, most people won't park there. The bigger problem is down at the Nubble, where people don't really care, and they park, and there's not that much parking down there. I'm all in favor of towing them. The police are not in favor of towing them because of fear of damage or other types of things.
Yeah, but I think if they put the sign up, and then it's not even gonna be a cost to us, because somebody like Big Wheel, they're the ones that handle that.
Yeah. The $50 is not a deterrent anymore, that's for sure. I'm not sure what is a deterrent, and I'm not sure, if towing is the answer. But I think after hours, towing would be almost mandatory. There are a lot of people.
And I would probably curb it if it happened.
No, it'd take a couple, and then word will get out, that's for
We
sure.
have towing down there. It's not a tow zone no more on the post?
Well, there is on Cherry Web Lane, but not in
that's what I
parking lots,
Yeah, okay. Because I know we used to have records station there at one time, and so.
Fairhaven and Dartmouth, because my son worked for them, they hire a minimum wage younger person to sit at the gate so that these things don't occur.
Yeah, that would, we thought about that, possibly, especially when you have a slow day and things along those lines. The question is, when someone gets challenged, what happens?
It's a young kid usually, but
Yeah.
if they have their phone on them and they call the police and the police come down and fix it.
Most of the time during the day, before 8 is the problem, after 5 is the problem.
Oh,
There may be a couple straggling, in the cons, cause the police are very diligent especially on weekends, patrolling all the beaches.
yeah.
So, occasionally one or two will slip through, but there are some days, at 5 o'clock, it's almost like a wave comes down.
I have a question.
You mentioned-
Yeah, questions?
So, I don't love raising fees, but I think we have to, across the board, every single fee we have in town needs to be reevaluated. We have no more money, so,
Yeah.
but is a fee, do we have to have a fee hearing for the
We would have
beach?
to have a fee.
Yeah.
So we need to post for a fee hearing for that specific.
That's why we're here now, because it has to be done by the 1st of the year, because that's when
Yeah.
our year kicks off, so to speak.
Okay.
The town clerk needs to know.
You gonna say something?
No, we just need to ask everybody
Yeah.
their fees before we post on this.
Yeah, okay. Other comments, questions from the committee? And I will ask, so what are the items, in addition to the one we just talked about, posting of the fees? Are there other items here that we need to take action on tonight?
I don't believe anything has to be action item tonight. We will have some warrant articles possibly for funding for the fence and
Yeah.
possible vehicle for the beach. We also have maybe a warrant article for the personnel bylaws to modify the lifeguard salaries to bring them up to where they are now at least. And then I guess one of the questions, I'm not sure, I haven't got a complete response from the beach committee, but last year Dana helped out quite a bit to get the lifeguards and to kind of help organize along with Paula and members of the beach committee. And is that something that the board, I would like the board at least to consider that going forward, that some of this beach responsibility falls under the recreation department. I think long run, it's important to have somebody in-house that can carry on. We have a volunteer board, and these guys do an awful amount of work, opening, closing gates, posting for lifeguards, but you know, even policies, procedures, making sure that the equipment is around every year. There's more that goes into it than you would think.
No, I believe you. Yeah, I support that. And what would be the timeline on something like that? That this is a discussion thereof.
I would think by January, we should have some type of decision or agreement that recreation will be more involved, and to what level they're involved can be discussed, you know, whether you still have the beach committee or whether it falls under the recreation committee. I think the beach committee has been separate all along, and they want to continue that way, but just having some office staff and support here in town would be helpful. So my timeline would be that a decision on that should be made in January, no later than the end of January.
We need as part of the budgeting, you might need to move budgeting into the recreation department.
Yes. The only funding here would be the enterprise fund, so that would be specific
For the
to the
beach.
beaches. But we have, like, some funding now goes to the town clerk's office, whether or not that stays there or goes to the recreation, yes.
How's the committee?
Yeah, that's a
feel
good
about
point. We would have to adjust the budget.
I mean, the committee has discussed it kind of informally. I think everyone has a personal opinion, but we haven't taken any kind of action, vote, or agreement on, because we're not sure what role either party's going to play, the beach committee or the recreation director. Something to think about. I should mention, now that I think about the vehicle, we're thinking on going, instead of with a four-wheel drive truck, to go with a Gator, because it's a lot cheaper. You can get a fairly nice, if you wanted to get a conditioned cab Gator for, in the $20,000 range, you can't get a four-wheel drive truck anywhere near that. It also, most four-wheel drives, we've been getting leftovers basically handed down. We've been very fortunate, but that environment is not kind to any kind of vehicle like that. We think the Gator is more. We're thinking a Gator with a Voltran storage at the end of to store it in with the equipment, rather than having the lifeguards trucking equipment back and forth from the town hall. And, drop it at the beginning of the year, pick it up at the end of the year, secure it with locks at the end of Cherry Web Lane.
So Jim, what do we need to do here with this, the beach pass? Do we just post it for a future hearing on this, public hearing?
So we're looking at all the fees right now from the various departments, so hoping to have recommendations for December for a fee hearing, and we would include these with that.
Do we have to do anything tonight on this?
No action needed.
Okay, but that'll be coming pretty quick here.
We need it as soon as possible, because most people start sending their applications in December for beach passes, believe it or not. And that's gonna be critical. That's obviously it's a 35 or 50 or 15 or 25.
Yeah.
I don't want.
In order to get the software up and running, we may have to push the initial beach passes back to January. We may have to delay it a month just to get things.
Yeah, I mean,
We're pushing to get it done, but it's
Yeah.
a learning curve for all of us.
Okay. But do I hear, is there dissonance here? Is it going to be a problem then, what we're outlining in terms of the fee hearing? And
Typically, January, February, depending on the weather. And last year the beach was used quite often, and there were a lot of passes sold actually in January, February, because the weather was so warm. If it's miserable, you're not gonna have a problem with people at the beach, obviously. Usually you don't until May, let's say.
Yeah.
So it could probably be held off, but it just needs to be, so that we can institute and get the website up to spinning, and then the town clerk can get everything, that we know what the fees are
Okay.
going to be.
All right. Any further comments or questions?
There's gonna be stickers next year, or the cards?
That's the plan. It's gonna be not unlike a dump sticker or
How are
something.
we gonna know it's a Westporter coming at us on the road without the card on the rearview mirror anymore?
They'll have the sticker on their.
We're not gonna see the paint coming at us coming down the road anymore.
Yeah, no
don't
matter where
know,
you
it
drive,
might
you
be
can see, you
paint.
can tell somebody from Westport by the color. The issue with the sticker is, the same issue I see. I'm trying to make, there's an ease of ticketing for the police.
Yeah, you're gonna be able to go through the tint, that's the problem.
Nobody, you have apartment, people can't even hang them on their thing. If you tell them it's gotta be on the, back passenger's window or wherever it has to be, I guarantee half the people will do it that
That
way.
was the problem in the old days. when I
Yeah,
was-
so
put it
people
on
are
the
walking
tent
around the
so you
car
can see
looking for a
Yeah.
sticker, and then you have to check the license plate.
Better off having a driver's side front bottom of the window, even though the officers have to check it that way.
Yeah.
It's probably the best. All right.
All right, so no action needed other than what we discussed. Sean, we appreciate your recommendations and the work you and your committee do, and we'll look forward to further discussion on on this item?
Good questions for the new chief, too. How's he gonna handle it? So, all right, very good.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thanks for
Okay.
being here tonight, thank you.
Thanks.
Have a good night.
You too. Okay, the next item, 4, is the town administrator report.
Yeah, so Serpent is setting up a committee, climate pollution, through the Climate Pollution Reduction Act. They're looking for representatives from the community to participate on that committee. I did send a copy of that email over to the planning department and hopefully to the Climate Resiliency Committee, but if somebody on the board is interested, let me know and I will get your name in there as well.
Mr. Chair, is Jim White already on that? Because that's something he's into.
This is a new committee. I'll check with Mike Burris. I sent this over to them last week to see if there's any interest coming from them. Just that the police department received another grant of the Healy Driscoll administration. Office of Public Safety and Security announced the recipients of the 24 municipal road safety grant. Westport was awarded $22,489. These funds will be used to offset expenses relating to public safety and ticketing and so forth. Police chief position, the preliminary screening committee will be interviewing this week candidates and hopefully get recommendations to the Board of Selectmen for their next meeting. So that is moving along. The Recreation Department, and I did not attend this, but the Halloween Happening event, I guess, was very successful. They had over 150 kids participating, plus the adults. Dana Stewart did a nice job working with the trustees of, the land trust to set this up. They also have the tree lighting ceremony on December 3rd, 2023. And in your packet, there was a list of other events that they've done this year and each quarter that are offered through the Recreation Department. Those are also on the website. The Cemetery Department, there was a posting on social media about the Veterans section where the grass was not cut, and they were correct, it was not cut. I could go into excuses, but anyway, it was cut within 2 days after we saw that posting. They are doing the best they can. We have limited staff over there. We're short staff. We've had an increase in burials. We're probably averaging like three plus a week, which is a lot for them. We have some employees out, but if anybody in the public sees something like that, sometimes just going by, you miss it. You see it every day, you don't notice it. If something's like that, let us know, and we will do what we can to clean it up. We met with Paul Vigent, the chair brewer, and myself. Met with Paul Vigent and Nate Mayo from Vineyard Offshore Wind. This was just a preliminary kind of introductory meeting. They are looking at sites off the coast. There's a number of wind sites off the coast of Nantucket, Martha's Vineyard. They're looking at one of them. I think they were just trying to introduce themselves to the town. They said they'd certainly come down before the Board of Selectmen or any other board if anybody has questions or concerns. They're still in the preliminary. They're looking at putting in an application for one of the new fields. It's supposed to be coming up with the state. One of the things they're looking at is their transmission lines, how to get it from the field to the substation where they tie into the grid, and that could be over at Brayton Point, it could be in other locations. I think they're running one line, not them, but another company up, or they'd like to, through Sapana River. There's talk about doing it on the, through the highway layouts and some other areas. So Westport may have a, it might be a long shot, but they may have a play in this at some point. So again, if the board wants them in, we think we can get them in and have them talk to the full board at some later date.
Well, I would be interested, they just showed up, and I don't know these gentlemen, but are there other projects that the people who are sponsoring the project or managing the project would be looking for us to participate, or is it just a one-off thing, or is it?
So
I read a lot about it in the paper.
there's probably, I don't know how many, maybe 5 to 8 of them, maybe give or take a couple out there, and they're going to different parts. So you have this one area where these windmills will be located. It's a very large area, but one transmission line is going to New York City, another one's going to Long Island, another one's going down the Cape, one's supposed to go to Brayton Point. I guess each location can only accept so much power, so that's why they distribute it to different areas along the coast. This area, this one that they're looking at, they want to tie in somewhere in our area. And where that is, they haven't determined yet.
Well, this is, you know, the meeting we attended was just like a dog and pony show, no disrespect in that comment, but I got to thinking about it, this is big. Right? I mean, this
Could
is
be, yeah.
something that could be big. It may be nothing, but it could be something big. And, you know, looking at it in terms of the revenue for the town, we'd have to give it serious consideration. But I think what we need to do, this is just my opinion, others may have opinions, is this is not to be ignored. We've got to keep it on our radar screen and see what's going to be happening here. And, you know, there are people for and against it. And there's some people who are very emotional one way or the other on this subject. So it's not something, it's going to be bigger than increasing the beach pass fees, let me tell you that. So I just want to make sure we're, as I say, on the alert here as to what we've got to do next. If we've entertained one group to come in here, do we have an obligation to maybe talk to some others? Is there somebody who's like, I'll call them a global consultant, they represent all of these people? Are they all individuals? I don't know. I know you've done some work on this.
Yeah, I've been watching it for a while,
Yeah.
and I don't know, about 6 months ago, I did come across where the federal government was looking for transmission corridors. So at that point, I reached out to Senator Rodrick,
Mhm.
and again, he had stated that was, he didn't know anything about it because it was with the federal government. So I was looking a little bit more into it. And then this round of this back, I reached out to Senator Rodrick again. So I think what we're gonna do now is try to get a meeting together with some of the officials in town, Senator Rodrick, Paul Schmidt, and, you know, try to have a meeting with the state. I mean, the
Mhm.
transmission line that they're looking at is going down 88, and we know where they're trying to head with it. We probably have a lot of options for them.
Mm.
And if we could get all on the same page, like you had said, this could be huge for
Yeah.
Westport.
Is the planning board doing something with this?
So John Bullard had mentioned something at the end of the meeting. I guess he was involved in that meeting with
Yeah.
this person.
Yeah.
I kind of agree with you, what you said about the person that came to us. So what I believe is he's kind of like a salesman. And he's trying to put the leases from the federal government into other developers that are landing this stuff. And basically, they're probably looking for a shortcut through Westport right now. So I think if we can, you know, get a partnership going with the state and try to look further into this, this could be really big for Westport.
Do you have any ideas as to the next steps for the select board?
I basically, I've been talking with the planning board on this, and I think we're gonna, and I did talk to Senator Rodrick again, and like in the pretty immediate future, I think we should get some kind of a round table together
Okay,
and brainstorm a little bit.
okay.
Try to push as best I can to get that
Okay,
pretty
good.
soon.
Jim, can we task you with keeping up with your old buddies in the planning board that we're
Sure.
on the same page and we're
Yep.
not duplicating efforts?
Will do.
Okay, good. Any further questions for Jim on any of his material? If not, anything else for you in terms of your report?
That's all I have.
Thank you. Okay, we have next item is 6, approval of minutes. There are 2, September 25th, 23, and October 10th, 2023. Manny, is this your bailiwick?
So we had a pretty busy meeting with the planning board last week. And a couple of projects that came before us. We had subdivision over on Drift Road, we had a lot of public input on. It abuts some town property, and I think we're doing some more stuff with that. We had a ton of neighbors at that meeting, Fallon Drive, Drift Road, so forth. So I think it's kind of something that it was continued, and we're gonna be working more on that, I believe. And,
Hold on, just a second. I just want to get the minutes approved for now, then we'll go into the,
oh,
Yeah. you're ahead of.
yeah,
you're ahead of
sorry,
your-
sorry. Yeah, I did approve those minutes,
You moved them?
yes.
Second.
Is this, we'll take them one at a time, so I assume that motion is for September 25th?
We had the revision, yes.
Okay, we're all set with that. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? None opposed? It's unanimous. The next one is October 10th.
Yep, I approve
We-
those two.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None? Okay, those minutes are approved. Hold off, Mary, just a little bit longer, because we need a report on the bill warrant.
Report on the bill warrant, it was a little bigger than it's been. Lately, there was some big payoffs on debt. So usually the bill warrants totals somewhere between 1 and 2,000, and this one was 3. But it was all above board
Okay,
and signed.
Million, I think you meant.
thank
What did
you.
I say?
You said 1,000.
Oh, and I'm not
There's some more
Okay.
zeros.
Yeah, a couple extra zeros.
All right, well, there's no approval needed on that, that's informational only. Now, I8, and we'll start with you, Manny, the selectmen and liaison committee reports and suggestions for future agenda discussion items, if you could continue with what you started.
I mean, it's
Feel
pretty
free.
much, we had a lot of public input on the Drift Road subdivision. And, kind of, I think they're going back to the drawing board on what their plans were.
Where's it
We-
located?
It's right on Drift Road, right after Fallon Drive.
Oh,
We have
okay.
a town, we own some property right on the river there, the town.
Yeah, yeah.
did. So we actually had some residents that are on conservation come in, and there was some mention of some issues that we might have in the town pit and so forth, and just stuff that we probably should be abreast of as this moves forward.
Mm-hmm, okay.
But again, like we kind of applaud in the planning board, we had a lot of public input at that
Yeah.
meeting, so
That's
it's always a pleasure to have that. Then we had another applicant there that happens to be, we have what they call Salty Breeze, is a piece of property on Route 6 that was actually set up in the overlay district for the marijuana. So he's coming forth with a application on a retail facility. So it was a plan that unfortunately the planning board had, the peer review comments, we had not got them to the engineer in time, so when he came forward, he didn't have opportunity to review our peer review on it. But we had the members of the public that came in opposition just happened to be the competition next door. So the attorney and one of the owners came, kind of said that he didn't, he wasn't aware of this going on. So as I had mentioned before, when we had that neighbor in here, that there was somebody, so I believe he was aware of it. But it was posted when it was gonna go for our meeting, because they had a preliminary meeting. So one of my concerns was with that, is the application had some comments from other departments and going forward on disapproval. One from Conservation and one from Board of Health. So all the comments were legitimate comments, but it was kind of a little bit premature, because those comments would be when it gets to the building department, not forth in that department. One of them was about the septic and so forth, and they recommended disapproval of the planning board plan, which, my opinion, that plan, I mean, we created that overlay district. This person, who was also another local business owner, sought out that location and is gonna redevelop it. So at that point, they're still gonna have their shot when they gotta come before the select board and the building department. So we kind of got a little bit sidetracked on it because of that. But my other thing was, the neighbor wanted them to be treated fairly, as they, I just believe that we were treating them the same way, and we've given the other applicants. And that exact thing with the Board of Health was done for the building next door. So I think the next meeting will be better, and then I believe they're gonna come before us next anyway. That's the next opportunity on that.
All right, well, we'll be alert to that.
I mean, the other thing is, did we know anything about the patch that was supposed to be done for Mass Highway for that other applicant? And
I haven't heard a thing. I can follow up with,
I think Amy was taking care of that. She's kind of out sick, so I couldn't get an answer if they had done anything on that. And we also have, are they supposed to come in before us in December?
We do, we have to review the fees again. This would be for coastal healing.
Mm.
I think we gave them till November or December.
Okay.
And that's still up in the air, right?
Yeah, I don't know,
I
I
think
mean, we had got
most-
some feedback, didn't we?
Yeah, the new regulations have been adopted, and I think most facilities throughout the state are not paying their fees, or they're refusing to pay their fees. So,
So it'll be interesting in the negotiations.
Yeah, it'll get more interesting, true. Okay, Manny, thank you. Anything else? Steve?
I was hoping there was gonna be cannabis in the docket for the MMA conference, but I don't see anything yet. I was out of town for the cable meeting this week. We had bike and pedestrian committee meeting the other night. Everything's going forward with that. They're going for a Mass Trails grant, which Mike Burris from planning is helping with. That guy is everywhere helping with grants,
Yep.
and we appreciate it. So that's going forward, and hopefully they'll have something to present to us in the near future. Circuit's tomorrow night, so that's the update for this meeting.
Thank you. I have just two items. Jim, we'll be doing the CIPC pretty soon. Do you have the,
yeah, I said we'd set up a meeting by the end of the month.
yeah, good. Yeah, because this is big on the Budget Committee, Finance Committee, concerned about the long-term plan. Looking forward to getting at that. This was in our package. Jim and Paula had been looking at this for '24 and had a couple of recommendations. I sent an email back with some comments. But just so everybody, and it's not on the agenda tonight, so I don't think we should go into it, but maybe at the next meeting, we'll just go over this. Show us where you have some, where there's a hiatus of 3 weeks for good reason, and how that came about. I had a couple of questions. I can go back and look at my email. I
Who's
didn't-
the red block?
This town meeting and election day.
Yeah.
Come on, Steve. You should.
Making sure, we don't wanna have meetings, well, we do have to have meetings 2 days in a row with that one, so.
Yeah.
All right, very good.
Well, let's put it on the agenda next time and just talk about it, make sure everybody's comfortable with next year's schedule and how that affects 2025, because I think this is spill over there, but we can talk about that next time. Good work, in any event. Okay, Shauna?
The Internet Advisory Committee is doing kind of a lot lately. We met with some financial representatives today, just kind of start talking about the idea of public-private partnership. You have kind of short-term funding kind of considerations and longer-term funding, and how do you structure that? So still doing a lot of research on that. We have a meeting with KP Law to talk about the municipal light plant and how things are going on there. David and Keith are pretty involved with the Broadband Coalition, so there's a bunch of South Coast communities that are kind of looking at what's going on. So a lot of activity there. The next meeting will be November 9. And David's looking for some more help. So I have not been able to participate as much. And he's got David Cole is like a firestorm. He's not quite Betty Slade, but he's close. And so he has a lot of things he wants done, and we're having a hard time getting people to take over some of the slack. So if anybody knows somebody who wants to be involved in Internet Committee, please let us know. David could probably use a little bit of help. And that's all I have.
This is the Internet Committee.
The Internet Committee.
good.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
I have
Ann?
2 meetings on Wednesday. So I haven't had anything to do.
Oh.
They're both on Wednesday.
Co- Coming up, you mean?
Stumped him.
This week.
Didn't you have anything 2 weeks ago? No.
No, we didn't. Did we? We didn't.
What's that?
Yeah, we didn't have a
Long-term building.
No,
long-term bill. No.
we don't, he started when he had one scheduled, but.
And then we had to cancel it. So, and I have
I'm not sure, I
$4,000.
think we have one Wednesday.
We got one
Wednesday.
Wednesday night.
Yeah, Wednesday.
Yeah, my circuit is
4,000
Wednesday, not
Wednesday.
tomorrow, I misstated too.
No, the police chief's Wednesday too, right?
It is.
We're gonna be out of that in time to make it to the other one, or is it gonna be both in here, or?
I hope so.
All right.
Depends how many questions
So
you ask.
time management.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I won't try to micromanage that. You'll take care of that for me, right? For us. Okay, anything else in terms of liaison reports and future meetings? If not, we'll move on. The next item is comments and statements. That's really from the public. Rod, you're the public, and Val is the public, and... Yeah, okay. And the next is simply a reminder, which we have here all the time, for the benefit of all, and reminding people of vacancies. The list is still long, and that's why we keep suggesting people for committees, and The list is attached and published on the town's website. Okay. This one is 11 topics not reasonably anticipated 48 hours in advance of the meeting. I'm not aware of any. Paula, do you have any for us? Okay. All right. And now it's time to contemplate executive session. Is Jim?
He's just got the
Here you
audio
go.
on his
Set it up.
computer. He's-
Okay, I need to read this, as you all know. Item 12, executive session. Pursuant to the provisions of MGL C-30A, Section 21A, the chair declares an open meeting will have a detrimental effect to A, discussing the strategy with respect to litigation, the Driftwood Realty Trust versus the Town of Westport Historical Commission. B, review and release executive session minutes from March 2, 2020 through December 19th, 2022. C is Information Technology Department Head, who's Keith Novo, salary discussion. D is Donna Lambert versus Town of Westport discussion. And E would be to approve the minutes of September 11th, 2023. I will remind everybody that what we will do after we finish executive session, we will go back into open session only for the purpose of taking a vote to adjourn the meeting, and I remind you of that. So this going into executive session, as you all know, requires a roll call vote. But first of all, we need a motion.
So
to do-
move, Steve Willett.
Second, Shawna Schufel.
A motion made and seconded. Now the roll call vote to go into executive session. Manny?
You have to say your name and I, if you want to go into executive.
Manuel Suarez, aye.
Steve Willett, aye.
Dick Brewer, aye.
Shawna Schufel, aye.
Inbox, all right.
Okay, thank you. We are in executive session.